What's going on, you guys? How are y'all doing today? So we're back with another video, and today we are going to be talking about the R6. More specifically, my 1 month review on this bike. I know the R6 is a bike that a lot of people love for so many reasons, so it's why I thought I'd do my honest opinions on it now that I've been riding it for a month and put about 500 miles on it, almost 400 or 500 miles. But right now I'm just cruising around trying to find a good route to take to kind of start this whole video off and talk about everything. I think I know a good spot where I'll do all this. But I think this bike gaslight's probably about to come on as well, because I've gone on like a couple rides with it so far and it hasn't popped up yet, so probably need some by the end of this video. And it did just rain overnight and this morning a little bit, so I kind of came out right now a couple hours later, so I'm hoping that everything's pretty much dried up and I'm not gonna have to deal with any wet spots on the road to get my bike dirty or to make me crash, pretty much. Hopefully I got some space to get out of everybody's way after this light. I don't know why there's so much traffic right now. Oh, another biker. He didn't give me the wave, but he gave me the head nod, so it's okay. Straight or right? I think straight will be best. Alright, so let me kind of start talking about the review on this bike. So this is my 2020 Yamaha R6. This is the last model year that they made them for the street. You can only buy them as track bikes now if you want a newer one. So when I was searching for my next bike to buy, I wanted to get a 600. I came from having a Yamaha R7 and I thought that a 600 would be a good step up in the power level, because I'm basically jumping from 72 horsepower around to now 117 that this is. And I did think about maybe just getting a leader bike from the R7, but after riding a 600, this is honestly like a really good power level and I cannot complain at all. This has plenty of power for the street, arguably more than enough if you're just street riding. So you guys are not going to find yourself on a lack of power. The only thing with the R6, what you're not going to have is you're not going to have low end torque. So basically all your power that you're going to feel comes on after like 8,000 RPMs. Up until there, you have no torque and the bike is just like asleep. But once you get up into those higher RPMs, which is the fun of having a 600, that's where it really starts to pull it. And now I truthfully cannot compare the power level on this bike and how this motor delivers it to any other bikes like the ZX6R or the CBR 600 or the Gixxer 600, because I've never ridden those bikes. This is the only 600 I've had the chance to ride. Let me go left. If I go straight, that's just pure traffic. So power level wise with this bike, you guys are not going to find yourself necessarily needing more for the street. Maybe you want more, maybe you want to be all crazy and have like H2 type level power. I don't know, but I'm saying as much as you need for the street, this is more than enough and you guys are not going to be complaining. This thing picks up really quick. And this bike, based on its spec sheet, let me word this properly, how fast it goes in first gear is faster than any highway speed limit, so you guys are fine. Now seating position wise on this bike, I personally really like it because I wanted an aggressive bike. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's neutral. See, nobody's behind me at this light, so my weight's not even tripping it. So we will probably be here, or not probably, we're gonna be here until someone shows up behind me. So let's see how long this takes. Okay, back to what I was talking about. I lost my whole train of thought. Okay. Oh my gosh, is my brain like not working? Okay, seating position wise, this bike is super aggressive. You are very hunched over, very leaned over. This bike is, bro. This light didn't click for me again. Whatever. Okay, this bike is super aggressive. This is basically like a track seating position. You guys are not going to find yourself comfortable with your clip-ons up here. Your clip-ons are placed very far down here. Yep, see, they're going again. Oh my gosh, this is frustrating. Okay, these are placed really far down. Your rear sets are placed in a position where your legs are very crouched. Yeah, when you get an R6, do not expect it to be comfortable. Do not expect yourself feeling not sore, not tired at all after riding it for even just 30 minutes. This bike is really aggressive. This bike seating position wise is really aggressive. But if you guys are looking for a bike where you want to be able to ride it for hours with comfort, you don't want your whole body to just feel extremely tired and worn, then this is not the bike for you. This bike is meant to have a track ready position. It's kind of the best way to explain it, which again, like I said, I wanted, so I'm very happy that this bike has that. But if that's not something that you want, then do not pick up one of these things. Now what else? Suspension wise, that is the #1 thing that surprised me when I bought this bike. This suspension, these KYBs that are on this bike feel amazing. Like, I wasn't expecting the bike to handle as good as it does, but this bike feels so planted. It literally feels like it's on rails and it's so direct, and having really stiff suspension really helps out. Of course, if you want something, of course, if you want something that's going to be comfortable, stiff suspension is not your friend. But if you want something that's really good performance-wise, then it is. Because the way this bike handles, it gives you so much confidence as a rider to literally throw it in at any corner at any speed, and you're just confident that it'll take it without any doubt. So that's something that I really love about this bike. Again, it's kind of a trade-off. It's not comfortable, it's really stiff, but it handles amazing. And if you want a bike which has good performance specs, this is what you want. And I guess one thing which is important for a lot of riders is how's the seat height. So for me, I'm 5'10", I have a 30-inch inseam, and my feet are basically like this. So I'm not able to flat foot, but I'd say I have the fronts of both of my feet able to touch. And that works just fine for me. I think the seat height on this bike is 33.5 inches, so it's not low, but if you're the average height, then you're not going to really have an issue with it. And then something about the R6 which I love, like this is something which is a make or break it for me when buying any sort of bike, vehicle, anything, is how much you can mod it. Maybe that isn't a concern for you guys, but for me, it is. So with the R6, there is literally endless mods that you can do to it, which is what really made me want this bike as well. I'm not even going to go through trying to name all the different things that you can do to an R6, but if you just go search up on a website, it's going to pop up with like 1,000 different things that you can buy for this bike. I'm exaggerating, but like I'm kind of not. Because since this bike's been out for so long, a lot of companies have done a ton of R&D on this bike. They've developed a lot of different products. They've perfected a lot of different products since it's been out for, what, like around 20 years? So if you like making your bike your own, customizing it, upgrading it, getting an R6 is going to be great for you. Because there's a ton of modding potential. Wow, these guys work really fast. So like a month ago, all of that road right there was just pure rocks and gravel. And this right here too, this was all trees that looked like that. Okay. And another factor on this bike, how does it sound? The sound of an R6 with a full exhaust is literally like an F1 car. Sadly, I can't show it to you yet because I haven't thrown on my exhaust. You guys can hear how my stock system sounds if you want. So it still sounds good. Of course it's going to sound insane once I do the full exhaust. I'll give you a couple revs. So the sound of an R6 is heavenly. I don't think you're going to find anybody saying that this bike sounds bad, so that's another plus that this bike has. And since this is obviously a Yamaha, you're going to have that Yamaha reliability. And if anything were to break, whether you drop the bike, break something needs to be repaired, or maintenance, it's going to be relatively cheap or affordable, which is another thing that's good about this bike. You know, you're not going to have to spend Ducati level pricing to get something fixed on this, or BMW level pricing. So it's another factor that makes it easy to get into this bike without any stresses or worries. What other points can I talk about? I'll tell you guys something like my personal opinion, which I think this bike is why it's a good and bad purchase. So the good and bad. So I'll start with the bad. These bikes are not cheap anymore. There's still such a high demand on them, and since they killed off the supply, everybody's holding on to them. And basic economics, supply and demand. Supply is low because everybody's holding on to them and they don't make them anymore, and demand is still super high. So you're not going to pick up one of these for the price that you want. You're not going to pick up one of these for the average price of a 600. This is way elevated. So just be prepared for that. Not a cheap 600, more or less. But the benefit, let me take this lane. Nobody is here. Okay. Side note, brakes on this bike, amazing. Okay, the good of it being super expensive is because, please don't pull out. Thank you. Okay. I've tried to say the same sentence like 10 times over, so I'm definitely going to cut that out because I sound ridiculous. But, oh my gosh. Thankfully I can just edit all this, or else it would be horrible for you guys to watch if this was like live. Okay. The pro to it being so expensive, and the good thing, is because these things basically hold their value now that they're discontinued. And they keep going up in value. So you're not going to buy one of these bikes and immediately be underwater. You're not going to buy one of these and in a year from now it's worth 30-40% less. These bikes, as they remain discontinued, hopefully they remain discontinued because I didn't pay a cheap price for this thing either, they are just going to keep increasing in value. Which basically makes this an appreciating asset. almost. At least that's how I view it and how I justified it to myself to buy one. So that's just something to take into account, because if you buy any of the other 600s, ZX6Rs, CBR 600s, Gixxer 600s, you're going to be able to spend less on them, but they are of course not going to hold their value the same as an R6 would. So just kind of something to think about. And the last point, which I will get into, is going to be the looks of this bike. So let me find somewhere to pull off to. Yo, what is this? It's just a piece of grass. I thought it was a deer at first, I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah, let me find somewhere to pull off to, and I can show you guys the looks of this bike, because I think that's arguably one of its best features. And cons with this bike, I'm not trying to sound too biased. You know, I'm still only been riding this thing for a month, so maybe I am biased and I'm still too excited about it. But there isn't anything that I really dislike about it, or anything that I've found that's bad yet. And I'll make an update video, of course, if I find something that I genuinely hate about the bike or that's a defect, and talk about it. But as of right now, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted something aggressive, and this bike is the epitome of that. So if I take that area right there at like 60 miles an hour, I'm honestly going to catch air. I've seen people do it before in cars. Something else which I found that I absolutely love about the bike, and surprised me the same way the suspension did, is this throttle tube. The throttle on this bike is so sensitive, and you can adjust it. So like in A mode, where it's most aggressive, this throttle reacts so quickly. And coming from my R7, that was a, not a flaw, but just something it lacked on, was having kind of a sloppy throttle tube, which is why it's a common mod on the R7 to switch to the R6 throttle tube. But this one just comes with it, so it's just a plus that I've found. A big pro, and something I'm really happy with about it. Alright, this should be a good spot. I'll probably do my thumbnail here right now too. But okay. Looks wise, this bike has to be the best looking 600 out there, period. This R6 looks amazing. There's not an angle that I dislike on the bike. I love how sleek the front end is. You guys hear the fans going right now. Hopefully it's not too loud, you can still hear me. But the front end is so sleek. It has the tail lights. Bro, what? Am I okay? Okay. Oh, something is wrong with me. I need to go like eat or something. Okay, the headlights are so sleek on this bike, and I really like how they're just nicely tucked in there. I don't like the Gixxer ones personally, the big shaped thing in the front. The ZX6R ones are cool as well, but I think these ones are just so sleek how they're put in the bike, and they're really low key. So I think looks wise, the front end is awesome, as well as just all the styling, all these aggressive lines that it has just everywhere. And I guess you have to see it in person to really appreciate it and understand what I'm saying, but there's not really a bad angle that I can find, especially the rear. Like, oh, that just looks perfect, because you have here where the air travels through, this little piece right there, and how the taillight is, and just everything that back there is just really clean. And let me walk in the grass on this side as well. Just a really good looking bike all the way around. So I'm trying not to sound too biased, but there's really not a bad angle on the bike. You guys go check one out in person yourself if you can, and especially these like new gens or the last gen. I don't think that there's a bad angle on the bike. Tell me if I'm wrong. Hopefully you're able to hear me through all that. I think the fan is still running. I have earplugs in, so everything sounds peaceful to me, like I'm just sitting in the middle of nature or something. But to you guys, I know it'll probably sound a little bit different. Now let me see if I can get my thumbnail real quick. Alright, I think that should be good. To everybody else, I definitely look like I'm crazy though doing all that stuff. For someone walking by. But yeah, looks wise, you guys, I mean, you can't beat it. Okay, I need to tune this bike so the fan will come on sooner. Looks wise, you really can't beat an R6. Especially once I have this thing all done up with forged carbon. Of course, it's aftermarket, but it's just going to make it look like even better. So that's kind of my 1 month with this bike. Again, nothing really bad that I've noticed. One thing is it's really aggressive, so it's not comfortable necessarily, but I wasn't ever going into this bike expecting that. If I wanted to get something comfortable, I would have bought numerous other bikes. But that's kind of my thoughts on it. Let me know down below in the comments your guys' opinions on the R6. What's good things, what's bad things. Give me your honest once over. Let me know if there's anything that you agreed with what I said or disagreed with. Like I said, you guys can always tell me I'm completely wrong, or you can tell me I'm right. I don't care either way. I want to hear your guys' opinions down below in the comments. But I think that's about it for today's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Ride safe. Wear your gear. Peace.